First, testing the. Hey, it's
doing.
working properly.
Let's do. Well, I think this is a good start anyway.
Yeah, fine.
We've done a podcast before, and now we're trying to film it, and that's where that technical challenge really lies.
Yeah, for those of you who have just tuned in, it's quite hard to. We have 5 cameras set up around the room. If you haven't listened to episode 1, hi. This is Architecture Den. We recorded an episode last week, although probably an hour ago. What are you doing?
Who are you?
What are you doing? Why are you whispering at me? Stop whispering at me.
You got to say, I'm Ben.
Who are you?
Well, my name's Bill. Oh, you want more? My name's Bill, and we're architects, and we're here to talk about architecture and the built environment and try and understand what is going to happen next in cities and all of our lives.
What's our tagline?
We said demystifying architecture, but I think that could evolve. I think, what's involved in building and delivering buildings and cities? What are people, trying to kind of explain how much thought or not goes into those kind of things? What kind of things we have to consider, which people don't always think about?
Yeah.
And like, for example, this morning we've been talking about putting a huge tree in an atrium. And we're working with Q, we're working with Gillespie's, and we're working with all these people, and the pit depths and how much water it's going to need, and does the air movement mean it's not going to survive? And suddenly we're designing these huge rotating pots so that it's going to get an equal angle of sun throughout the year. I mean, it's a huge investment of time and effort, and someone's just going to come and eat their Pret underneath this tree and be like, it's a tree.
The leaves are put wax.
No,
on
they
the
won't. No,
side,
they won't
blah, blah,
complain,
blah.
but they'll just come and say it's a tree, and so stuff like that. For example, that was today's work, but there were a million things like that we think people might find interesting, and we want to hear from you guys.
Yes, and we'll get into the rest of the podcast. But it's funny you said that because I've just spent 2 hours today in a meeting about the morbid idea of what would happen if an explosive device was set off in our building. For like 2 hours. It was so depressing.
HVM as well.
Yeah.
Hostile vehicle mitigation.
There's some crazy guy you don't question who just says what would happen if a lorry drove into your building at 50 miles an hour, and you're like, I had never thought of that.
No. I get people at house parties saying, so what would you do if a plane flew into your skyscraper? It's like, you can't build it. You can't really protect yourself from that kind of...
So on our skyscraper, we've got aviation lights, and we have to have one halfway down our building, and people were questioning, it really is someone going to be like swooping along just above St. Paul's and be like, when do I pull up? Oh, there's the light.
No,
there's the light. There's the light.
I mean, helicopters are reckless in London. I totally see that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. So the point about this episode, today's episode, is that we are doing a lecture series next week. We're on tour. Architecture Den is on tour. Why do you keep looking at yourself?
Well, no, I'm looking at you. Are you in charge of the cameras and you're just putting it on you now? Is that how it's gonna roll?
When I talk, I put it on me.
Oh, I see. Well, we need to.
And then you talk, and then it's on you.
I see.
Say, wave to everyone. I love how do you think this tech works, Bill? It's just an automatic voice recognition system.
I thought AI
I
did.
did think that for a second, actually.
Oh, yeah, and who's this? Mr. McKee.
Hello.
Hello, he's our... how you describe yourself?
A tech guy around the back. I'm commenting and helping out on all of the platforms.
You made him feel so uncomfortable.
Why? No. Yeah.
With the grease and wheels behind the show.
The professionalism.
I'll take that.
But also, we're very excited to see the introduction fully from you guys, which is it 10 slides from the talk you're doing next week?
Yes, so next week we've been invited up to talk about ourselves as architects, and we've gone to a university that Bill used to go to, and we're going to Leicester University as well. And the idea is that we're going to talk about some slides. So what I thought we'd do today is Bill and I have chosen maybe 20 photos that we think we could use, and we're going to have a little talk about them. And Bill's a little bit more nervous than he thought.
I wish I'd given it a bit more thought, I guess. I see you, Ben's put like stellar images of his portfolio, and I've put like just whatever our work photo library had of me. Anyway, but
do you want to go first, or do you want to go second? How do you want to do this?
Let's flip. Let's Let
let's-
Mickey
let's-
choose. But yeah, have you got
You
a
go
coin?
first.
Ah,
Okay.
there we go. All right.
I'm going to ask questions about your cognitive state at each stage. So we
Yeah.
saw the young picture of you.
We should outline that the brief given to us was a lot of the students we're presenting to. Some are first years, some are third years, some have just started third year, some have been in first year. The idea is, how do we get from where they are to where we are, and what experiences have we had, and what have we learned?
Yeah, is that it? Yeah, okay. And
Yeah.
give people a bit of thing. So mine's more of a romp through. They were more like trigger images rather than. I think when you give a talk, it's nice to have them as prompts for stories and
Yeah.
memories rather than.
Are we going to try and restrict ourselves to the amount of images, as in it's got to be just 5 or 10, or 'cause sometimes it's quite nice to flick between 1 and then 2 and then 3. Are we going to limit ourselves?
I don't think it's about images. I think we want to get the right messages across. You know,
And that is what
are our messages? I mean, I'm going to get it out there. It's about don't be frightened of getting stuff wrong. One, because everything goes wrong, and the more you try things, the more impressed people are. So just try it. And the second thing is, it's that kind of imposter complex that other people are more technically strong, or more talented, or have more ideas, or total bollocks. You know,
Whoa, potty mouth.
Okay. It's just not you have things which will differentiate you, and just don't take it all so seriously.
Okay, so
I would say
no.
there's a
Is that what the listeners and the viewers need to know before they see the images? That how do you want to caveat what we're about to see more?
what
'Cause
images are you're gonna show?
I've got some funny images too.
Okay, all right.
So are you both showing each other's images?
Yeah, we've not seen each other's images.
Ben asked me to put together 10 images.
I didn't
and-
know. You said, by the way, we're doing a lecture next week, and I said yesterday, have you organised anything for this? No, we don't have train tickets. We don't have anything. And then I was like, well, maybe we should have a strategy
We had
for
to
it.
Google where Leicester was.
First
Way further north than anybody, which is good.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, una sekunde, por favor.
Mm.
Right, here we go.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a very
here you
low
go, here you
res
go.
imagery. Yeah, so I put that on. That was me when I joined my. I think we're gonna have to say make architects, because we mentioned, so we have to drink.
Damage you make.
But I realised we've got some make buildings coming up as well, which is obviously something.
It's going to be quite difficult for us not to mention where we work.
Yeah, so I was 28 when I joined Make, and now
Next slide.
I'm 38. And that's me now, broadly in need of a haircut.
Good lord! what did the guy say?
They
to
pay
you?
you, but what is the human cost? That is what I want to know.
What did
10 years in
what
the
did the guy say
basement.
to you? What did the guy say to you? It's funny.
So I had a busy 20s. That's for some reason that's really stuck with you. So that's me. That's
Okay,
me.
yeah. Okay,
And
so,
I've got quite a lot of these. So
okay, right. So here you go. Why is this image?
The first building we worked on was an incredible building called 5 Broadgate. Big bank. The most pretty intense experience. It was 5 years building a building. Next slide. And I was going to talk about.
Can you see? Do you think I need to zoom in more?
No, that's all right. That's
You're
all
right.
right. Also, it's not really about that. We're not giving.
You're right.
Yeah.
Fine, sorry,
I
okay,
just
fine.
feel like I came as a rather kind of creative, exuberant, not quite graduate, but recently qualified architect. And then I got into this heavy commercial project, and it was like an absolute schooling about tender information. And if you don't get that right, the ramifications are huge, and the fear and the rising sense of dread, and how you're going to let everybody down, and then you didn't, and then that was fine, and then there's another deadline, and then it's like a constant tensing and relaxing for years. But it was amazing experience, and I learned so much from my colleagues, and was just drilled in how to do that kind of building, and it stuck with me as a very kind of some highs and lows, and I don't regret a minute of it, and I think about it all the time actually when I'm doing big buildings now. So that's why I put that one in.
Okay, next.
I'm worried this is gonna.
What are you worried about? This is brilliant.
Yeah. Well,
Stop
I know.
worrying.
I'm worried it's going to be me talking. Look, and there's another very young picture of me.
Good Lord. How old are you there?
I've just joined Make. I don't know why I put that in there. Do you know? I was thinking, do other stuff. So I was we used to tutor people from hard to reach backgrounds. So because architecture takes so long to qualify in, we tend to have people who can afford to study for 7 years rather than the best designers. And so we tutor people from hard to reach backgrounds to make sure that you get to try and enable a more diverse workforce, and Make really enabled that. And that was one of the first things I did that wasn't like architecture work. And I just think now more than even back then, your side projects, whether they're a podcast, whether they're tutoring people for Open City, or whether they're learning about marketing, or whether they're going to business school, those are so important to feed into your main job. So it doesn't matter if it's to do with animals or people or painting or whatever. And that was why I chose that one, I think. But some of these areas I'm going to have to screen out. It looks like I'm just showing lots of pictures of
No, it's fine. Look, this is the whole point. We're going to flick through them. It's fine.
Yeah, and then I
What is this? This is you at a dinner table in Beijing.
So after I was asked to run our business in Beijing, and I went out there, and that was everyone that works in the office, and it was a big part of my life.
How long were you in Beijing for?
I was in Beijing for 4 years.
Wow.
You were there for 4 years.
4年, 对.
Sorry.
Yeah, that is correct. So that I put in, and it was.
I can't believe you were there for 4 years.
I know. No one.
You were a
can.
different person when you came back.
Yeah, old looking. I was fine.
Busy Beijing.
Busy Beijing.
Look at young Bill there. So wise.
So what was that like, establishing the firm when you just landed? I'm sure.
Loads of people. Well, hopefully, people that have listened to this will have worked abroad or will go. There seems to be a cadence that happens to loads of people where the first year is bloody tough. It's quite lonely because you don't. I went out on my own. I didn't have a partner. You don't have a support network. You don't have any friends. You're working bloody hard. You're a bit anxious. It's fun because you're going and doing all the stuff. But actually, there's no one just to have dinner with on Tuesday. So you go out and, make friends with people you wouldn't normally be friends with, or read a book in a pub and hope that someone talks to you. And it's just a funny, and you realise that it was lonely during the second or third year where suddenly you learn Chinese or you learn the local language and you make some friends, and you're like, why has this year just gone by in a flash? And why did the first year last forever? And then by the third year and fourth year, it's just flashing past, and it's great fun. And that's why you can kind of end up living in these places for decades before coming home.
I can't believe you were there for 4 years.
Yeah, or 3, just under 4. Yeah.
I would have guessed that was like 1, 2, maybe 2, definitely 2.
Yeah, and you come back and you've been there for 4 years, and you're like, you will never guess. No one gives a monkey.
that's so true. No, everyone's
nothing.
like, so how long have you worked to Make for? You're like, years.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I've never heard
Or
of you.
even your close friends, for about 30 minutes in the pub when you've moved back, they're like, so. Anyone's like, anyway, did you go to Alan's party on Sunday? You're like, yeah, I will probably go to Alan's party.
This is always the case. Traveling, whenever you do anything, and you come back, and it's almost like you never left.
Yeah.
Like you said, Ellen's party. It's just something just never left.
My brother always used to joke that he got it down to one sentence because he went traveling for like 2 years, and he'd come back and he just like, brrr, and then no one would ask him another question. He's like, there you go, I've nailed it.
Yeah.
So, okay, right, next slide.
Boom.
Oh, yeah, so this is just some of the things I did. God, I take this out. That was like...
You chose it. I'm
I-
not responsible for your slides, am I?
This was a hotel I did, and I spent a lot of love on it, and it was in Chengdu. And I would spend a lot of time in West China, which is a really cool bit of China. It's Szechuan, it's where all the spicy food comes from. It famously has the kind of most beautiful women in China.
Oh, yeah.
No, not really. I was just working in a hard hat on the booth.
So you claim.
But it was quite cool to get to a random bit of the world and build relationships and build this hotel and make quite a lot of mistakes overseas. And you make these mistakes and it's fine. And there's no one to ask and you get on with it. And it's sort of fine. And it gave me loads of confidence to say, well, why not this? Let's try this. And if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out as we go. And I think
So you look at that and you see like you learn a lot.
I see the parametric modelling in that crazy staircase. I see the models we made to convince the contractor. I see the contractor getting it wrong. I see me on site explaining what's wrong. I see them remanufacturing it. And then I see it opening and the hotel operator being really pleased with it and having no idea of the pain that's gone into it. So yeah.
Okay, right, next.
And that's
Is
the
that
same
same-
hotel. That's the same hotel.
Hang on, you did all that?
Yeah, well,
Come on, honesty now. How much was that you?
I did most of the digging. I had a bit of help filling it with water.
This is one of my favourite make projects. I think this is amazing.
Yeah. So that was it. And what was quite cool is I went out for the duration of this build.
Is that the same building?
Yeah. And that was the same build. And I guess there's this thing of, you're a digital guy. A project for you might be 3 months, 6 months, 2 days, 9 months. I'm finishing a project this year that's been going to be 10 years in the making. This one was quick because it was China. It was sort of 4. But they're still big investments. And you look at your life and you've got these buildings that define your time.
I love that project. I love that project. Right.
And that was another one. I think I've put in rather too many of these. I'm going to get rid of that. That was another one.
Okay, well, this is good. This puts you under pressure.
Yeah.
This is better now. You're in the environment.
Good. And then I can I basically need one per like life message, don't I? Oh, and I met Lucy, my partner, in China.
She puts up a lot with you.
Does she?
Your hard work, I think. I think you're high maintenance. Is that bad? Can I say that?
No, it is fine, but I've always thought it was her.
No,
and she always says this. All my friends say it's you, and my family say, "Oh, you're lucky to have met Lucy." It is occurring to me that I'm the difficult one.
No,
I know. Yeah. She'll never listen to this, unfortunately. What are you doing at the garden again? And that was the other thing. Like this is the 10-year project that's coming to an end, and I think good things come to those that wait. It's really easy to say, oh, this is a bit difficult, isn't it? I'm doing this tender package. I'm doing the bathrooms. I'm doing the loos. At the end of the day, no one will remember what your tiny contribution was. You have to kind of get over that and enjoy being part of a fantastic project that has the right aspirations and the right people on it, and actually stick with it. What I did at Broadgate, I'm incredibly proud of. What we did at Charlotte Street, I'm incredibly proud of. Whatever happens, we were part of that journey. So I think there aren't as many shortcuts as you might think. We're in a.
It's just hard work, isn't it? It's just hard work.
Well, it's hard because it's so long. It's like a relationship, like being in the 10th year of a relationship, for example.
And they're going to last hundreds of years, hopefully. So, or 100 at least. So definitely, it'll be marking the skyline.
And even if it's only 50 to 80, that will be
that's enough for me. That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Right, come on.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's the inside.
That's okay, fine. From the side,
it's on site and it's being built. Yeah, and although I've done a few built ones, it's all the other bonkers stuff. That's what I keep wanting
This
to
is the
think.
one that got away.
Yeah,
the one that got away.
I'm still raw about this one. So everybody. Well, people in architecture, you do so many projects, feasibilities, visions.
Are you allowed to say what
visions.
this is? No, you're not going to. You're just saying it's just our building that is
It's a big building in central London, and you get all these false dawns in architecture where you win competitions and you win work, and you're trying to get planning permission. You sometimes get planning permission, and then for whatever reason, oh,
pizzas, trick or treat pizzas.
Oh wow!
Oh yes.
Come and join in.
This none of this works, and this camera doesn't work. This microphone doesn't work. Well, the microphone doesn't work. The camera doesn't work.
Well,
Come on in. Hang on. Put the headphones on. Here we go.
Here we go.
But I can't tap you in. That's the only problem.
Can you shut the door, please? Just
So quickly, I have a very funny story about. So this project that Bill was incredibly passionate about. At the time when you invested so much time into it, and then it didn't go ahead, and you're in a pretty dark space. You're pretty miserable. And we came into this room, and you just wanted to get it done. You just wanted to get it done, and we started putting up all the insulation tiles on the ceiling. and you were in the corner and we'd used glue and you weren't very happy. You just wanted to get it done. And as you were like stamping your feet, like the insulation panel started to peel off. And as you were having a rant to me, behind you on the ceiling, I could see these panels getting closer and closer to your head. And then it like hit you in the top of the head and you're like, and the ceiling's not working. You've come back. You've come a long way there, Bill.
Come back stronger.
So what's in the middle of the table?
I can't hear anything.
Hang on.
I can hear you.
No,
then.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 pizzas.
Pizza delivery.
Yeah.
Thank you.
From
We've
a
been
witch in the corner.
We can go back 3 slides now, can't we?
No, we can't go back through
3 slides.
No,
3
we're going
slices.
to.
No, there's an image.
I like this image.
Look. Oh, what's that?
what's that?
Oh, you see? Bill's going to put you in a presentation.
Wow.
Well,
got
maybe
you in
I-
there, Bill.
Famous. Bill was just saying how many mistakes he made in Beijing and no one can find out about.
Or ice sculptures. That was as good as it got.
Well, no, it was a big part of my life, Beijing. You being part of that. Lucy's my partner.
Good
She's come in
products.
from the house to deliver a pizza.
Yeah,
I'm
what
going
you
to
can't
deliver
see,
the
'cause-
pizzas.
Yeah, you can do which is the best.
I know my role.
Well, annoyingly, I
Costume.
can't get the fourth camera
In
to work.
costume, exactly, yeah.
That's bugging me. It's bugging me so much.
What's bugging you?
I can't get the fourth camera to work. Anyway, I won't bog people down with the
so
technical
nobody
details.
can see my hat?
No one can see your hat. Look, you
What
can
if
see
I
it.
encroach on your space?
Look, everyone on YouTube can see. Look, there you go. Look, that's what the screen on the right. That's what we're flicking to. It's good, isn't it? Right, here you go, Bill.
Very good.
Here you go. Right, where were we? Here you go. That
I
was
like that. Where's that?
Oh, Lucy.
It's not
Well,
a bit
I
confidential.
mean, it looks like a Christmas decoration, but it's cool.
Nothing's more cutting than
Would you like to live in
a
it?
partner's comment on your
You're
architecture.
not
isn't
meant
it?
to live in it or hang it on your Christmas tree. The message here is the ones that got away.
Oh, okay,
You
that
will
was the
work
message,
on
okay.
so many projects which never come to fruition. And maybe the one that you were leading that was going to make you famous falls apart, and you just have to play second
That
fiddle
would
on
have made
someone
you
else.
famous,
Oh,
but maybe not for the right reasons.
hey, well, how insightful. The mess.
When was that supposed to? Look, he's getting cross.
There's nothing more enjoyable than Bill under pressure.
I was so cross about this project. It was last year.
It was last year.
Wherefore are we not allowed to say?
No,
Well, I'd
well,
say-
it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's in principle. There are lots of ones. This is another one. This is another one.
Where's that? That's it.
Holborn.
Oh, really?
But that's still may go ahead,
Okay.
so we probably shouldn't show that one.
We'll only show it to
But probably
hundreds
no.
of thousands of YouTube.
No
subscribers.
one's going to listen to this. It's fine.
Okay.
And I don't know why I put in a few in because I just.
You really enjoyed
Does that
painting.
exist?
I'm-
That one?
Well, no, not as a constructed
I like
building,
it.
but it's these ideas that
These
that
are
happen.
your ideas.
These are all ones.
Bill's an idea factory, basically.
So
I know.
you know.
Oh, there's a huge bee that's landed on you.
Oh yeah, so another
what's
small
What's even?
another small
That's
on
very controlled.
another
Bill's
small
attacked
There
it.
must be nests.
small problem with this room is when we came in yesterday, there's like 500 wasps in here or something. There's
They're
a
all-
wasp nest in here. They keep dying.
They're very dusty. Wherever they're coming from, it's dusty.
Are you all right, Mickey? Have you been attacked?
I've never seen someone so chilled out when wasp, worse.
Yeah. They're very energy low. I think the one there needed some
Yeah,
sugar.
there's
Yeah,
one
they're the
that-
worst. That's when they sting you.
There was one on the
They've got one
laptop.
final shout,
Okay.
basically. Yeah.
There was where did that
Sorry, this
project?
is not very architectural.
Okay, where's this project?
No, I mean.
Why did you choose this one?
So I chose this one just to say, although we do lots of buildings, it's good just to do things that are a bit of a fancy. And loads of these competition entries to get people's attention, stretch your brain. What could you do? I think I've tried. You can go through like 5 here, like that one for drone decks. So how can we use like spaces on the roof a lot more? Are they going to become the arrival to buildings?
Those QR codes.
Yeah.
What were they? That's really
I
interesting.
don't know. I just thought that might be how
Where's
drones land in a
Okay.
few years' time. And we did this for a crazy guy who wanted to amalgamate this site. And it was like, let's mix a skyscraper and a huge city block and have this whole sort of city that happens within it. And everyone wants a terrace. You want one to grow vegetables on. You want one to like live across. You want to have outside meetings. You want to have outside spin classes. You want to have a drone delivery. You want to leave on a drone. You know, it's going to be like roof space is going to be the most optimized space. And we used to just put like chillers and plants in it. And now it's the primary real estate in London. So that was the main idea of that.
Okay.
And I think I've put loads of.
I feel like I'm in trouble for you choosing these slides.
No.
Why are you look cross at me? I can't control
No,
this.
that's
I-
because I'm here.
No, not at all. But I'm thinking I've chosen about
This
10.
is cool, isn't it? This one is a cool project.
Yeah, I guess the message I was here was I keep trying to break into new parts of the world. You know, as
You're
us.
not short on ambition, is what we're
Well,
saying.
we keep going to Dubai and the Middle East and Africa and entering competitions we'll never win and trying to go meet government officials and go meet local money. And once in a blue moon, it works out. But you never know, like, what happens. What normally happens is you don't win a building and get commissioned, but you meet a really interesting or inspirational person or, just some fantastic experience comes from it. So we build a lot, but also don't be frightened of just trying your luck and going to...
Where was this one? This was in... where's that one?
That's in Dubai.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
You have worked on some glamorous projects.
Do you know what I think we should be doing? Africa. We talk about in 100 years, the 10 biggest cities in the world are going to all be in Africa. There's no money for art, for kind of big kind of commercial architecture, but there's so much opportunity. And if we could just find a way, and that's a timber building we're trying at the moment, keep on kind of
Nice.
testing with
Yes,
with materials.
What's on the bottom then? The white stuff.
The stone.
Why can't you continue the timber all the way down?
Well,
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, Bill.
yeah. So
Do it properly.
This is actually a site in London, not far from here. And the idea is that you can't really tell from the context, but the height that white finish is the height of the neighbouring buildings. And they're all stone and masonry and different bricks.
Okay.
And the idea is at that level to kind of respect that datum of the townscape. So when you're walking along the street, you sort of see that shelf. You see the top of the building matching all of the others.
Mm-hmm.
And then behind that, on top of that, you get this fantastic terrace and this tower that sits on that. So the top of those buildings become a new ground floor.
And each one is like a little
Whoa.
studio.
Remember that one, didn't you,
And
Bill?
you what? Sorry, I missed that. So I
no,
was
this
so
is
busy
under
thinking about
pressure.
what I was going to ask next.
Well, see, the thing is, I'm still adamant that I want to present our first year projects on this screen for everyone on YouTube because it would be very funny. I think.
I'd do
Yeah,
that.
because my first year project's absolutely appalling. I just think
Well,
it'd be
mine's
funny.
digital. I
Yeah,
think it's
I'd
just a
have to-
collage.
I'm pretty sure my mum saved it in a loft somewhere. Okay, right. So next slide. Here you go. Why is this one interesting?
We did a scheme for so a guy from
I like that one.
I like that one as well. A guy from Abu Dhabi came to us and said they had no vernacular, they had no house style, and they were worried that their city was just becoming these concrete extrusions with holes punched in. Could we come up with a kind of typology for the buildings? And so we looked at what the heritage was in terms of mass and geometry and screens and tried to come up with this very contemporary reinterpretation of it. And we were invited to meet the sheikh. And I did all this work and I did this and and the next slide.
Did you get to meet the sheikh?
Which was, no, they
What
saw the
is
work.
that?
They saw the work and
Never called you back.
and fired us from the scheme straight away. And said,
Oh my god!
it was like we'd misunderstood. It was far too avant-garde, and it was a complete.
The first one wasn't at all. I
Oh,
thought that
well,
was
the second
great.
one was-
Really nice. Yeah, that is bonkers.
I mean, that's great.
That's
but
gorgeous.
But this
That
one's
is- what is
awful. I mean,
that?
I had 5. on
That's
that one.
dreadful.
There's a
Looks
concept.
like papier-mâché for
It's
a
the
start.
concept, and the idea is you create this typology of the geometries and the sizes and the blocks, and they're very private villas. They have very strong, solid facades. So how do you express that, and how do you? Anyway, I
Are
came
they,
up.
are they apartment blocks?
No, they're triple height. So each one of those is a triple height block. So it's a tower block.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
moving
here we
swiftly
go.
on.
Here we
I
go.
know
A
this
Bill
one.
classic.
Swindon.
What's a Bill classic? I recognised it was Swindon. What's a Bill classic?
Just that he talks about it a lot, and lots of people have seen it. I think that's the Bill classic.
Wow. Next one.
No, it's such a great
No,
project.
I just think that thing.
Oh.
Wow, that's a biggie.
that-
Ooh,
Where's
look
that?
at that.
do
That's got
Dubai.
Billy Big Balls written all over it.
well, we defer to that. This is the highest, tallest building in the world.
Oh, that
in
you mean the
Dubai.
one in the background?
The one in the back.
The two sides. The
Not the other
perspe-
two that are
The
trying to get
perspective
higher.
makes you look like you're saying that your two are the tallest. But
We
it's
defer-
the Kingdom
we
Tower.
defer
No, it's not even
to
the
it.
Kingdom Tower, is it? It's like a spire.
Yeah, that's right. The needle. Yeah, so we did it. Well, I
It's a
guess
gateway.
I put them in to show that, like, don't stop. You can't stop. You don't have to stop doing
Ambition.
fantasy or ambitious projects just because you're working. You know, we're building projects, but these kind of things do keep us going, and sometimes they turn into reality.
I've
And-
realised I derailed a couple of your messages then. But the
No,
point
that's
of
all
this
right.
one is like just dream big.
Yeah, think big. And actually, if you're Bjark or Heatherwick or Norma Foster, and you know, people win these and they build them out, and that has happened to the firm I work for, not necessarily because of anything I've done, but it happens. And so don't let your horizons be too sort of real world. It's okay to come up with big solutions.
Because one of them might slip through the net, you mean? Is that what you're hoping for this week?
This is done by that was done by Uniform, wasn't it? With
The Image?
Yeah, who's the guy we
Shout out
love?
to Nick.
Yeah, Nick. He should come on the podcast. He'd be
He
great.
would love it. He's a scouser as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. you probably know him. You all know
Yeah,
each other. You all know
next
each
door
other.
neighbour, yeah. My brother.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
I think I put
Here
too
we
many
go.
in. We're never going to get to your
It's
ones, are we?
It's all right. It's all right.
building.
You're going to cut some of these out. It's fine.
I am going to cut some of these. Yeah, I just think.
What is the purpose of today? What's the theme for today?
Well, if you were here at the beginning of the podcast, Lucy, you would know.
I wasn't. I was busy
Yes.
decorating the house for Halloween.
So the point of the podcast is we're doing a presentation next week, and part of the joy is that no one knows who we are on the podcast. So unless you listen to series 1, and then you're a very hardened fan, but by the time Mickey's finished, we'll have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It's going to be great. So the point is that people don't know who we are, and so the first episode is us explaining.
Oh, hence
and
why
this
I'm in it.
And this one is all about where we were when we were 18 at uni to where we are now, and the journey that we've been on to get there, and big milestones, which apparently one of them is you.
Fancy.
Well, we're going to Leicester next week to give a talk, and
I know.
we thought
And then Newcastle, lads on tour.
It's a pretty big tour. It's a pretty big tour.
Hey, you're
take
going
2
north.
days.
Yeah.
You're going north. That's a big tour for
But
Bill.
this is the draft of the talk we have to give.
Yeah.
So we're going to work out which bits work, and then we can do it, and which
Do you want me
bits
to go?
don't.
So we've established that Bill's maybe got a few too many slides. Is
Yeah,
what we're
we
saying.
have.
Yeah, cut that down.
But they're the right flavour.
No,
and-
okay, right. So this
Well,
one.
I've made loads of friends at Make, and I guess
Oh,
that was
friend.
Big Stu, my friend. It was more. You always look up, like, who's my mentor? Who can I learn from? Do I love my boss? All of this stuff, and you don't always stop and look around and realise it's your peer group. It's the people who are your age but not like you. You have loads to learn from, and just tuck in and align yourself. You know, he's technically strong and I'm not. Just learn from him, and because he or she is definitely learning from you, and just introduce that humility, and don't sort of look up for that inspiration. I think it's, if you're getting good organisations, it's all around you, babes.
Yeah.
Amazing advice.
What's this?
Wow, that just popped in.
Well, do you want to explain this images? Maybe it's a bit low res
This
from
is
the
a
old back.
massive.
I'm going to have to love you and leave you, boys.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
You're still a slide. Remember that. Yeah, there's a slide
just
of you.
a
In.
slide.
Yeah. No, you're in a slide.
You might not make the cut.
Okay. Thank you for the pizza. Thank you.
I didn't make it, but you're sweeties, actually.
Oh, here we go.
So where do we begin?
We're punching
with
big
this?
at this episode, aren't we?
That's a lot. Well, I guess we
Imagine you're listening to this on the podcast. Why don't you explain what the image is?
Okay, this is an image of me of us having a debate, and I was talking about having side projects. I just think it's really important. I'm interested in politics. Ben is. Ben's mum was an MP, and I'd invited her to debate the Brexit conundrum in 2016. And without going into too much details on all of that or why she was invited, I invited a couple of MPs and we held a really electric debate there. And it's something like a side pot that I'm interested in, these kind of issues, but also just do it. I wrote to these people, and they're all really keen to kind of campaign and get behind it and have this event. And afterwards, it was incredibly stressful because they're used to a Jeremy Paxman type interviewer, and instead they had a stuttering 30-year-old architect. But it was a big success, and it's just made me consider how else I could bring that kind of world into my life. So I just think you don't have to just be an architect or a planner. You can have other strings and hopefully do it through your organisations.
It's not until you organise something like that. I've never organised something that big, but you realise how much effort goes into it. So you're very much more respectful when someone else organises something. You're like, oh,
but
God.
Isn't that me? That is everything.
Yeah.
That is everything. You take it all for granted, and then when you try and design a handrail that turns a corner and is compliant with DDA and building regs, and you do it and it looks nice and it's in a nice finish and you've persuaded the client to do this. When you've done that or done it wrong and then someone's done it right, you don't just criticize it so easily. And I think there is that thing when you're young, oh, I love that building, hate that, God, he's awful, he's great. When you're a bit older, you're like, he's done it. I cannot believe he's done it. And I think that is something that it's the difference between architects and doers and commentators.
Exactly. Commentators. Okay, right. Is that... Oh, this is just you having a bloody great photo. No. Hang on. What's the message here?
The message here
Billy
was,
Big Balls. It's just a great photo of you.
It was. We do.
You keep that in your slide. I want to see a room full of lecture people rinse you for this.
I was trying to tell a story about me using images that work had of me. We do books on what's the future of
summer
retail.
collection.
Next one. We do books on various things.
Here we go. He's in a Hawaiian shirt.
That shirt was in another photo.
Oh my God. Go on. What's the message here? Just look great when having photographs taken.
I can't. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember. I think it was.
Oh, so Bashar looks so great in the photo.
I think it was like. I don't know. Okay, do you know what I was thinking when I was at my desk, like chucking all these images in? Like, be whoever you want to be at work. You don't have to come in and like pretend to be like everybody else. That like doesn't work. And the moment I started to relax at work, basically when I realised I wasn't like I was going to keep a job and be there and it was going to be fine and I was broadly doing okay, then I could tell people what I actually thought and I could wear what I actually wanted. And the more I did that, the more people related to me and the more honest my relationships were. And although this is just a picture of me
Looking
in like silly in a Hawaiian shirt, it's kind of like just be yourself, and the world is changing and that is becoming more prevalent even in banks or more formal institutions.
God, you're so annoying. Got so many. The photo that you sent, the Leicester and Newcastle of me, I look like a thumb with hair. It's so bad.
Please, the next one not be another one of me.
No, I think
it.
you've
Gosh.
maxed out.
Well, we're gonna do you next episode.
Yeah.
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 Done.
Let's do that.
Okay. That was Mr. Bill Webb. Go on.
Oh, and your
A brilliant introduction. And
Yeah.
This is a sample of your one next time.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, go on then. There you go. This is my uni project. This is okay, so my one as a preview for next episode. My one was all about being a grade B student. And then realizing maybe I'm not as bad as I thought I was. That's pretty much the just do it. It's not going to be that bad. and it's gonna be great. So yeah, that's is
exciting.
Is that end of episode 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel I've talked about myself a lot there, but you know.
And pizza's arrived, so there's things we have to factor in here. All right, thank you very much. And
but get in touch. We should say that every time. We've on Twitter at Architecture Den, LinkedIn,
Mickey, you need
Instagram.
to be all over making. You need to be all over making us remember to do.
We want
this.
to hear from you, and as we go, like we did previously, if you write in, we will mention you, and we want to hear what you think, good or bad.
Thank you very much. Tune in next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.